Hey guys, this is Zoom. Today we're going to be looking at a review of my deck. This is the deck I use for regular league play. I've been using it about 2 months now. Um, we're gonna be looking at it figure by figure, guys. Explaining why maybe I have a particular figure in there or why I use this figure. And then we're gonna be looking at some other additions or maybe possible text that you could include in your own deck. But let's go ahead and get started, guys. Let's see. That's an old deck I tried out for a while. All right, here we go. All right, now the why water decks are so synergy based are because of Manaphy. Now let's take a look at Manaphy. His wheel is a base 20 damage in a double purple called Manaphy Song. From first appearance, it doesn't look like much of anything special. But 20 damage is really weak. Small slice of dodge, and a big purple. So it looks rather mediocre until you read the ability. It says when this Pokemon is on the field, your Water type Pokemons will do plus 20 damage. Now that's Ocean's Gift. Plus 20 damage doesn't sound like a lot at first, but then when you think about it, how it gives Empoleon's Hydro Pump plus 20, going from 90 to 110. That's a big of a difference versus 100 base damage opponent Pokemon. Greninja gets a plus 20 to his Water Shuriken roll, so it's pretty much like an extra Water Shuriken. And, that could be big, depending on how good Greninja rolls. But I think the biggest advantage to having Ocean's Gift is how it affects Gyarados. Now, as we all know, Gyarados is a 110 base damage Pokemon. And you see, if you add up 110 plus 20, you get 130. That's when you're hitting Deoxys attack levels. That's a huge advantage when you're facing Deoxys decks because they're going to have 130, and now your Gyarados can hit 130 as well. The reason I do think it's is because Gyarados is so much more simpler to chain, being he is a rare versus Deoxys attack who is an EX. Now obviously you're gonna have your 140 10 chain level Deoxys, but you're 1 to like 135, and you can see regularly some Gyarados is 116, 117, no problem. So I think that's really the main advantage to Manaphy, to having Manaphy in your deck. It allows your Pokemon to hit harder, hit stronger, and reach a couple magic numbers that they wouldn't otherwise. So let's go ahead and look at Manaphy's Song, Manaphy's Double Purple. One other Pokemon type on the Water type Pokemon on the field that is not asleep or frozen may be moved within their MP range that Pokemon gains weight. Now, some implications, some in-game implications I have is, you can craft some surround kills with this ability, especially if your opponent attacks, let's say, your Manaphy that's guarding your goal. You can move a Pokemon around Manaphy and then surround next turn with Pokemon from the bench. Another, probably my favorite application of this is, especially during the Water Gym. If y'all remember, there was tons of Manaphy's around, tons of Water types Pokemons around. People would be guarding their goal with a Water type, and they would foolishly attack my Manaphy Song my Manaphy without a double guard at their goal, and I would just move their defender away from the goal, and next turn get right up there, which was really advantageous. This happens a couple times in League as well, regular League play, not as much obviously, but it's definitely a strong attack. The only really negative matchup I see with Manaphy if he rolls his purple is Mew, just because Mew's yellow's so big. Greninja's not a friendly person to Manaphy either. But let's go ahead and move on, guys. Every Pokemon has strengths and weaknesses, but I do feel like Manaphy's strengths outweigh his weaknesses. Alright, guys. As we all know, Magikarp's ability, Rapid Evolution, When this Pokemon faints in battle, you can evolve it without sending it to the PC. That leads to this guy, my big boy Gyarados. Speed booster ability. When this Pokemon evolves, it will gain +1 MP. So he goes right from a 1 MP Pokemon to a 2 MP Pokemon, and from 100 damage Pokemon to 110 damage Pokemon. Now, like I was saying, guys, it's really easy to chain level Gyarados since he is a rare, making that Hyper Beam. Mine is chain level 7, so he's at 117. Really strong wide attack, one of the strongest in the games for sure. What makes Gyarados good as well is his Storm attack. All neighbor Pokemon are moved to the bench and gain weight. I usually like rolling Storm when I'm attacking my opponent's last defender at his goal, and someone else attacks my Gyarados, and I roll Storm, and both of them go to the bench, and I just waltz up to my opponent's goal the next turn. Very solid Pokemon. Obviously, you don't want him being affected by special conditions because then his Storm becomes a huge big miss, and it's really playing the lottery at that point. So try to keep him away from special conditions, and he will do wonders for you. All right, moving on, guys. Empoleon. Now, another reason for the resurgence of water box decks, was Empoleon's buff, guys. Empoleon used to be under air, honestly. He's the when I originally pulled 3 of them from 6 tuples, I was like, are you kidding me? But then the next banner change, they announced the buff, and I was like, okay, I can dig this. Now, what makes Empoleon inherently strong is his ability diving entry. It says, when moving this Pokemon from the bench, it can only move to 1 space away from your entry point. Your turn ends. This is essentially a long throw plate built in to Empoleon. This is very useful, especially when, let's say, your opponent is going for the surround kill. You drop Empoleon right next to your enemy aggressor. Stop him from surrounding your goal. If you have both of your entryways blocked, you can place him in the field, either to go running towards the opponent's goalpost or to try to defend or attack the aggressor by your goal. But like I said, that diving entry is just really strong ability. His attacks are really good as well. Ice Beam, if this Pokemon is knocked out, the battle opponent becomes frozen. Aqua Jet, a nice, strong, solid yellow, and Hydro Pump, 90. The reason I love playing with Manaphy and Empoleon is it bumps Hydro Pump to 110, which, handles a lot of the big 100 base attackers in the game, such as Zapdos, Virizion, Terrakion, to an extent. Terrakion's got that 120s wedge as well, so it's a 50-50 there. A lot of the strong 100 attackers in the game, Empoleon gets a little boost against them. Obviously, Empoleon can still roll, the Aqua Jet 30 when facing Zapdos, and that's just unfortunate. But overall, a really strong figure, especially with Manaphy's plus 20. Moving on, guys. I got Greninja. In my opinion, the best runner for a water deck. Probably second best runner in the game, behind Mew. And y'all probably have a favorite runner or one you think is a better runner than Greninja. And that's also a really acceptable opinion, just because a lot of runners have their strengths and weaknesses. I just personally prefer Greninja in water decks since he is a water type and he does have that nice big slice of yellow, which is obviously good versus purple heavy defenders. His attack can sometimes be a little lacking. Water Shuriken, the main attack, roll this until you do not roll it again. Multiply however many times you rolled by your damage 20. But sometimes it can surprise you, and you can get some 100 plus rolls, especially with Manaphy. You roll 60. You roll Manaphy. 80 with Hydro Pump. It can add up. And he has the nice big dodge slot wedge, which is gives him a nice level of survivability. All right, moving on, guys. I do have a second Gyarados Manaphy combination. This one's only chain leveled 1 though. Gyarados is just that strong of a figure. I've won so many games with Gyarados just going up to my opponent's half of the field and just no one can kill him. And obviously sometimes that has something to do with luck, but sometimes it's just how good Gyarados is. Like I said, keep Gyarados away from special conditions because that will kill him easily. Alright guys, now the final slot in my deck is filled by someone you may not think as a traditional member of a water deck. And that's Sceptile. Now guys, let me explain my reasoning behind Sceptile. As y'all probably know, I do believe Sceptile is the best figure in the game. Standalone, of course, and I think that has everything to do with Stealth Hit. This Pokemon can jump over its battle opponent and land 1 step away. Now, guys, obviously a smart player will try to avoid the Stealth Hit cheese win, but Sceptile is just so versatile that I just find myself in a lot of opportunities where I can Stealth Hit for the game. And not only that, but Leaf Blade can do a potential 140 damage base after you spin twice. Which is so good, especially versus the Deoxys Attack and Terrakion. Terrakion is one figure you want to avoid with Sceptile, of course, because of his ability to make any blue segments a miss segment. But there's been times where they attack me and I roll that Leaf Blade twice and just knock them out. So I do believe Sceptile is not essential in every deck, but a worthy addition in every deck, possibly. Maybe Deoxys decks, there'd be other fits better than Sceptile, but if you're just getting a team together of really strong, independent Pokemon, then Sceptile is definitely one you need to be including in there. And in my opinion, I level up Stealth Hit just because Stealth Hit, I love it. It's such a great defense and attack piece. It's just I would rather have Sceptile than any other water type Pokemon out in the game, and it's just such a strong piece, guys. If you were to ask me what would you take out if they ever release another really good water type, and that'd probably have to be my second Magikarp, just because Gyarados is that good. But if there was something came along that did a little bit different or did it better, then I would definitely consider getting out the second Gyarados in favor of that. Looking at my plates, guys, it's really standard lineup. This is what I like to call the vanilla lineup. You got your X Attack, your Double Chance, your Gold Block, your Hurdle Jump. Personally, I'm a very aggressive player, so I always like to have that Gold Block just in case. I overextend. Hurdle Jump can do wonders with positioning. And it does do me wonders with those cheese Sceptile wins. So really glad I have that in there, guys. But yeah, guys, that's my deck. I think it's a very strong deck. It's gotten me to the 3200s. Now I'm an average 31XX player, but I am having a little bit of a winning streak. Let's go ahead and open this time booster up, guys. See what we get. Alright, we got an uncommon cube. Not bad, not great. I'm actually going to go ahead and start my rainbow booster, hoping to pull something good out of that. Alright guys, before I say bye guys, I just want to look at possible inclusions you may want to do, if your playstyle is different. So for that, we're going to go ahead and go to the material shop. So just so we can look at every possible water type. Let's go to display settings. It takes a minute, but we got it. We got it going. Water. All right, let's go to the bottom. All right, guys. A couple new water types were released with the last banner: Swampert, Suicune, and Seismitoad. I would include Swampert in my deck, but honestly, Gyarados just does his job better. You can do some strategic plays with Tractor, but I just don't see myself choosing, wishing I had a Tractor rather than a Hyper Beam. A bigger 110 slice. Obviously, Swampert's ability helps out ground types, but this is not a ground type deck. So it's one of those things that is irrelevant. when it comes to this discussion. Suicune. Suicune's actually been one of those Pokemon I've been debating adding into it. I really like its sheer cold attack, where it knocks out a Pokemon, and if they're frozen, it excludes them. The only reason I don't is because I feel like its natural damage is a little weak. Ice Beam 60 and Hydro Pump 70. You don't want to lose the chain level war versus Reshroms or Zekroms, and those flares and bolts. I do like Suicune's ability, though. When this Pokemon moves from the bench to the field, remove any special conditions and curse markers from all the Pokemon you have. Very, very strong ability there, guys. So definitely one to keep in mind. Seismitoad, I honestly think he is definitely better in a poison deck rather than a water deck. So we're not much to say about him, And guys, if you feel differently about it, if you have your own opinion, just let me know, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. And other than that, guys, Blastoise, he's too heavy of a purple to be included in the meta. For Alligator, I don't think he's consistent enough. I don't know, just something about him I don't like. That 120 is nice, but you have to evolve him from Croconaw to be considered a 2 MP. So that 1 MP just does not do good things for Alligator. Palkia is a strong piece, but he's all white dial. There's a lot of purple and blues running around. So it's just he doesn't do enough damage if he doesn't roll that spatial rent plus Magmortar's flame gun, stuff like that just destroys him. Supersonic, on Vibrava, just stuff like that. Now before I leave, guys, I want to touch subject on the double Manaphy situation. Some people have been asking, what's better, 1 Manaphy or 2 Manaphy? Originally, when I did make the deck, it did include 2 Manaphys. I really enjoyed that. But the thing here, guys, is, okay, if all things go great for you and you got all your Pokemon on the field and your Manaphys are plus 40 to all your water types, that's great. You're going to steamroll your opponent real easy, guys. But the thing is, when your opponent gets a couple KOs and you've got 2 Manaphys and 2 attackers versus the rest of your opponent's squad, it goes downhill. It can go downhill pretty quick. For example, if you got 2 Manaphys, a Greninja, and an Empoleon, you're doing plus 40, but you're doing, like possibly Water Shuriken plus 40 versus the Deoxys attack. Guys, it just some very inconvenient stuff that can happen with double Manaphy. Not to mention it has 1 MP. So, it's really limited mobility. Another thing I hated about the double Manaphy was whenever one of my Manaphys would leave the Pokemon Center and to the bench, so I could play it on the field next turn, he can only move 1, guys. So if you're in a serious game and, people are, doing all kinds of attacks, he can only go up to your endpoint. And, sometimes that's just not enough, guys. Sometimes, you need the mobility. You need to get to your goal as soon as possible. So that's the reason I don't like double Manaphy no longer. I loved it for a while, but, eventually I was like, it just does not have enough mobility for me, guys. But let me know what you think. If you use a double Manaphy deck, tell me possibly how you run it. What you would do to improve my deck. Just let me know, guys. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe, guys. I know I'm a new channel, but I'm hoping to put out some quality content in the next couple days, guys. Anyways, thanks for watching, and y'all have a great day. Thank you.